Hello, my name is Jana Abou Hatab. Franklin Roosevelt says that man and nature must work hand in hand. The throwing out of balance of the resources of nature throws out of balance also the lives of man, which means that the balance between the acts of humans and nature ensures sustenance.
For the article Building Dwelling Thinking by Martin Heidegger, I chose the quote, "Only if we are capable of dwelling, only then can we build." Let us think for a while of a farmhouse in the Black Forest, which was built some 200 years ago by the dwelling of peasants. Here, the self-sufficiency of the power to let earth and heaven, divinities and mortals enter in simple oneness into things ordered the house. In his text, Heidegger examines the etymology of words to find the relation between building and dwelling. He argues that humans should understand what dwelling really is before building. He claims that for dwelling to occur, people should have a relationship with space and things while preserving their nature and their freedom. He also adds that humans should cultivate nature without destroying it. He gives the example of the Black Forest farmhouse built by peasants as the ideal dwelling place, suggesting that it seems to be grown out of the earth itself, because the peasants preserved the freedom and nature of things and worked with it, not against it. In conclusion, unless there is balance and interaction between the act of building and nature, there is no equilibrium and sustenance. For the Rig 4, I wanted to embody the idea of sustenance and equilibrium through interaction, so I used the paper as a hinge to hold the sticks and the cylinder together. All the elements support each other to stand in equilibrium, and if I remove only one element, the whole model loses its equilibrium and no longer exists.
This is my second rig N.
For the rig and my model seems standing in equilibrium in the air, and for the movement I made planes that slide on a track, and by this motion one plane makes another plane stand in equilibrium, and the other plane makes a stick come out of the cylinder and stand in equilibrium also. So the motion of some elements makes other elements start to exist, stand in equilibrium, and maintain themselves in a spot in space, and thus they sustain.
For the conceptual drawings, I tried to show a state of equilibrium, so the model seems tilted to the back and standing only through one stick on a black plane. These are the trials for the drawing. Here on the left, we can see a picture of the site before the Beirut port explosion, and on the right, you can see a picture of the site today. While doing the context analysis, I discovered that Beirut existed even before history. It was a stone land that emerged from beyond the sea during the past Stone Age, thus becoming the land on the east of the Mediterranean Sea. Ever since 7000 before Christ, the modern Stone Age man has resided in this land. Beirut port was officially opened in the year 1894 to the wide maritime traffic, but its genesis was many centuries before that. Work began in the port of Beirut in the Phoenician era. The Phoenician port of Beirut was located in the Min al-Hassan area. My individual research was about the mulberry plantation and the silk production in Beirut. In the 19th century, what's known today in the Rawshe area was a vast agricultural area with different types of crops. Mulberry fields were scattered over the plains overlooking the sea. The Lebanese knew silk for 2,500 years when it was brought to it from China via the Silk Road through Persia and Arabia. It was made and dyed in the Phoenician cities and re-exported to the rest of the countries of the Mediterranean basin, especially to Rome. The largest trees in the coastal district of Beirut were mulberry trees, and no coast or village was free of this tree, which provided sustenance for the Lebanese for long periods of time. It's important to mention the movement of cocoons and silk between the port of Beirut and the port of Marseille. As a result, the maritime transport companies were established in Lebanon, as well as the first Lebanese bank, and the Beirut port was developed to accommodate large ships.
For the inspiration, I chose concrete because there's a contrast between its rigidity and the delicacy of silk. For the in situ, I chose the silk cocoons, and for the ex situ, I chose the loom, which is an apparatus for making fabric by weaving yarn or thread. This is my site model. The entrance is here, and here is an area for activities such as planting. Here is a memorial for the people who died in the explosion of the port, where the names of the victims are written with the silk on the walls. The silos are used to farm silkworms to produce silk that can be used to weave the destructed parts of the silos in order to complete them, make them exist again, and therefore reach sustenance. Here, in the intersection between these two roads, there's the oldest mulberry tree in the world, which is the Bethnal Green mulberry tree in London, and here will be my folly. For my 1 to 100 model, I was inspired by the artist Mary Holsoy, who covered the bullet holes caused by war in the walls of Beirut with tapestry. This is my 1 to 100 model. My concept is about weaving the destructed parts of the silos, so I made a mechanism that hangs threads on pins, creating weaves in the destructed parts of the silos. Thus, there's a contrast between the rigidity of concrete and the delicacy of silk. It's like healing the wounds of Beirut with the silk bandages, so a part of the city is rebuilt. The destructed parts are covered and the silos are completed again. However, the difference of material still reminds us of the loss. The silk also reminds us of the silk trade through the port of Beirut in the past. This is my 1 to 50 model that's composed of two couples of platforms that are shifted. Here people can come remember the people who died in the explosion and can also weave to contribute in the rebuilding of the destructed parts of the silos.
This is my technical drawing where we can see that the red road is parallel to the ancient Silk Road that links Tyre to Damascus, while the blue road is parallel to the new Silk Road that will revive the ancient railway linking Tripoli and Beirut. This is the material rendering.
This is my conceptual drawing.
This is my 1 to 100 model,